What is going on, friends? In this video, we are going to build a custom authentication system in Django. As a user, you will be able to register, log in, verify your account, and reset your password. Finally, we are going to use PyTest to write automated test cases. So without any delay, let's dive in. First of all, I'm going to create a virtual environment for this project. Python 3 -m virtual env ls. As you can see, a new virtual environment has been created. Now we need to activate the virtual environment. Source virtual env bin activate. Next, we need to install Django. Pip install Django. Now let's create a Django project. Django admin, start project, talent base. ls, the project name is talent base. Let me use VS Code to open this directory. Code. Let me open VS Code terminal. Now let us run the server. Python manage.py run server. I'm going to copy this URL. Copy. It works. Next, we are going to create an app called Accounts. This app will handle everything that has to do with accounts on the platform. Python manage.py start app accounts. As you can see, a new directory called accounts has been created. Now we want to create the user model. Models.py. The default user model in Django uses a username to uniquely identify a user during authentication. In our case, we prefer to use email to identify a user. So we are going to create a custom user model. To create a custom user model, we need to inherit from abstract base user. From django.contrib.auth.models imports abstract base user class user, which is the user model, abstract base class. We need the email field. Email equals models.email. Unique is true. Password equals models.charFeed. Max length 255. Username field equals email. So we are saying that the email feed should be the unique identifier for each user. Required fields is an empty list. We are basically overriding some attributes in the base class. As you can see, we have password, required fields, and so on. Is active equals models.boolean feed. Default is true. Is staff equals models.boolean feed. Default is false. We want every user created to be active by default. A staff user is able to access the Django admin. We can also inherit from the permission mixins. So we want a user to have the following attributes: a super user, groups, user permissions, and so on. Permission mixins. Now we are going to create a manager for the custom user model. A manager is a middleman between your Django model and the database. You use a manager to interact with the database. Remember I said Django uses username to uniquely identify a user, but in our case, we want to use an email address. So the custom user model we created needs two methods: create user and create super user. To create the two methods, we need to inherit from base user manager. Let's create a new file for the manager, manager.py. So we need to import base user manager from django.contrib.auth.base user import base user manager class custom user manager base user manager. Let me add a doc string custom user model manager, where email is the unique identifier. The first method is create user. Create underscore user, def create user, self, email, password, and extra fields. Create and save a user with the given email and password. If not email, raise value error, email must be set. A similar example can be found in the documentation. As you can see, this is a full example: create user and create super user. In this case, email is the unique identifier. As you can see, the username field is email. Let's go back to VS Code. User equals self.model, email equals email, and we want to pass the extra fields. User.set password, we need to pass the password. On a user instance, there is a method called setPassword. The set password is used for setting a password. Next, we need to save the user, user.save. Return the user. The second method is create super user. Def create super user, self, email, password, and the extra fields. Let us add a doc string. Create and save a super user with the given email, and password. Extra fields dot set defaults is stuff true. Set default method is used to set a default value for a dictionary key if the key is not present. Extra fields dot set default is super user true. Extra fields dot set defaults is active is also true. If extra fields dot gets is stuff is not true, then we want to raise an exception. Raise value error. Super user must have is stuff equals true. If extra fields dot get is super user is not true, raise value error. Super user must have is super user equals true. This check is important because is staff and is super user could have a false value. User equals self dot create user, which is the first method. Create user, we need to pass the email, the password, and extra fields. Extra fields user dot save. Now we need to attach the custom manager to the model. So we need to import the manager from dot manager import custom user manager. Objects equals custom user manager. The final step is to inform Django that we intend to use a custom user model for the project. We can do that in settings.py. So we need to update the settings file for the project. Settings file, talent base, settings file. So let me put it here. So we can say custom user model. Auth user model equals the location of the user model accounts dot user. Accounts dot user. Whenever an app is created in Django, you need to add it to installed apps. The app name is accounts. Accounts. Let me put a comment, local apps. So when a user comes to the platform to create an account, we accept the email and password. But before we create the account, we want the user to verify the email address. So we are going to create another table called pending user. This table will be used to keep track of the information submitted. Class pending user models dot model. Email equals models dot email feed. Password equals models dot car feed. Max length 255. Also, we need the verification code. Verification code equals models dot car feed. Max length 255. Created at equals models dot date time feed. Auto now add is true. Now we need a method to check if a verification code is valid or not. Def is valid, self. It returns a boolean. Lifespan in seconds equals 20 multiplied by 60. We want a verification code to be valid for 20 minutes. Now equals datetime dot now. We need to import datetime. From datetime, import datetime. Datetime has been imported. We would also like to use time zone. Time zone dot UTC. Time difference equals now minus self dot created at. We want to determine how long ago the code was created. The type of time difference is time delta. Now let's convert the time difference to seconds. Time difference equals time difference dot total seconds. If time difference is greater than lifespan in seconds, return false, else return true. Before we proceed, we want to know when an object was created and last updated. So I'm going to create a base class for the models. The base class will have created at and updated at. Let me create a directory to keep shared code in the project. New folder, common. Next, I want to create a file in the folder models.py. Let's call it base model. Class base model models.model. We need to import model from Django.db. Imports models created at equals models dot date time field. Auto now add is true and updated at equals models dot date time field. Auto now will be true. The default ID provided by Django is incremental. The first object will have an ID of 1, the second will be 2, and so on. Hackers can easily guess the IDs, so we are going to use a UUID as the primary key instead. Let me first import UUID. Import UUID. So ID equals models.UUID feed. Primary key is true. It will be the primary key of an object. Editable is false, and default will be UUID.UUID4. Since this model is a base class, we need to mention that abstract equals true. Class melter abstract equals true. You use an abstract base class when you need to put common information into a single class. Let us use the base class in the app. From common.models imports base class. So user and pending user can now inherit from the base class. Base class, base model, base model, base model. Now let us run migration. Python manage.py make migrations. A migration file has been created. Python manage.py migrates. Next is to work on the views. Def register request. The type of request is HTTP request. Let me import HTTP request from Django.http. Import HTTP request. HTTP request. If request dot method is post. If request dot method is post, we want to do something. Else, we would like to return a template. Return render. The first argument to render is request. We can also pass the template request, and the template name will be register.html. Now we are going to collect form data for post request. Email, which is a string data type, equals request.post, the email, and password, which is also a string data type, equals request.post, password. Cleaned email equals email.lower. We are converting the email address to lowercase to ensure uniformity. Now we are going to first check if the email address is registered on the platform. Let me first import the user model from .models import user. If user dot objects dot filter email equals cleaned email dot exists messages dot error email exists on the platform. We need to import messages from Django.contrib imports messages. The first argument to the function is request, and the second argument is the actual message. Return redirect register. We need to import redirect. So if the email is registered, we redirect the user to the register page. Else, if the email is not on the platform, we are going to create a pending user. Remember that when a user registers, we want to first verify the email. So we are going to use the pending user for that. First, we need to create a random verification code. Verification code equals a random code. Let me import the code generator from Django.Utils.crypto import get random string. Now let us use the random string, get random string. We need to pass the length of the code 10. Pending user dot objects dot create email equals the cleaned email. Most times you will need to use the create method to create an object. If we use the create method, it is possible to have multiple objects with the same email address. So we don't want that. We are going to use create or update. Pending user dot objects dot create or updates. We are going to use update or create. Pending user dot objects dot update or create. Defaults equals a dictionary. Password will be make password. We need to import make password from Django.contrib.auth.hashes imports make password. This function turns a plain text password into a hash for database storage. Verification code is the verification code. We also need to know when this code is created. Created at datetime dot now. We need to import datetime from datetime imports datetime and time zone. We want to use UTC timezone.utc. If this email is present in the DB, then we want to update the following. If not, this email will be used for creation, and the following will be the default value. The next step is to send the verification code to the email. So we need a function to send the email to the user. Once the email is sent, we need to let the user know. So we are going to use messages.sources request, and the message will be verification code sent to the email address cleaned email. We need f string verification code sent to the email, return render request, and the template will be verify account.html. Now let us implement send email. Let me create a file inside common new file, tasks.py. Def send email. We need the subject, which is a string data type. We also need the recipient of the email to. This will be a list data type, a list of string. Also, we need the HTML template to be used, and probably the context. Now I'm going to import the relevant classes to send email in Django. From django.core.email.mail, import email alternatives, and from django.templates.loader, import get templates. Message equals email multi alternatives. So we can pass a couple of arguments to the email, subject, body, and so on. Subject is the subject. From email will be the sender of the email. Let's say no reply at talentbase.com. We also need the receivers of the email. This could be a sequence. To equals email to. Next, we need to load the template. HTML template equals get templates, and the template will be the template name, which is HTML templates. HTML alternative equals HTML templates dot render context, which is the context we passed. Message dot attach alternative. We need to pass the content. The content is HTML alternative, and the type is text/HTML. Message dot send. Fail silently is false. To send an email in Django, we need to update the settings file. Settings, and we can say email config, email backend equals django.core.mail.console.email backend. So any email sent out will be displayed on the screen. Now let us make use of the function. From common.tasks, import send email. Send email. So we need to pass the subject. The subject will be verify your account. Then we need the recipient, a list of the recipient, that is a list of the receiver. The receiver will be cleaned email. Also, we need the HTML templates, which is the email templates. Email/ email verification templates.html. Also, we need to pass the context. The context will be the verification code. Let us pass a dictionary. Context equals a dictionary, and the code will be the verification code. Next, we need to create the HTML template. Verify account.html, this template, and also register.html. I'm going to drop the link to the HTML templates. On this page, you will see the templates used in the project. So I'm going to download the templates. Download zip. Extract the zip file. Let me copy the accounts template. Copy. The accounts templates will be in this directory. Paste. Now let me rename the templates. I will also like to copy the general templates. General template, copy. The general template will be in the root directory. Paste. We can rename the templates. Finally, we need to copy the static files. Static. The static files will be in the project. Next is to update the settings for static files. Static files. So we need to mention the static files directory. Static files directory. This will be a list of directories. os.path.join. We need to import OS. Import OS base directory. The directory name is talentbase/static. Talentbase/static. Static files directories specify additional locations for static files. By default, Django looks for a folder called static inside an app. We can also specify the static root. Static root equals os.path.join base directory static. Now let's work on the URL. I'm going to create a new file, urls.py. New file, urls.py. So from django.urls imports path. From this directory imports views. URL patterns equals path. The first argument we need to pass to path is routes. So the routes will be register. The view is views.register. We can also name a URL. Name equals register. Let us put a slash. This file will only contain URLs specific to accounts. We need to inform the project that we want to use this file. Whenever you create a Django project, a general URL file is provided. So any URL file you create must be registered in this general URL. This is an example of how you can register a URL file you create. We need to import the include function, include path auth include accounts.urls. This means any request starting with auth/ will be handled by the URLs in accounts.urls. Let me run the server on a new terminal. Python manage.py run server. Let us visit the register URL /auth/register. Template does not exist at auth/register. Inside register.html, we have base.html. But base.html could not be found. We have register.html, and inside register.html, we have base.html. Base.html is a general template. Let's look for it. Templates. We have base.html. By default, Django looks for a template inside the app. So Django is able to locate register.html, but it could not find base.html because register.html is inside an app. Remember, we created an app called accounts. So we need to instruct Django to look for HTML templates in the root directory. As you can see, base.html is inside a directory which is at the root level. So we need to update the settings file, templates, DIRS, short for directories, is a list of directories where the HTML templates are located. So we want to say that templates could be located in the root directory, os.path.join base directory, and the directory is templates, which is referring to this directory, templates, accounts, views. If the request is a GET request, we render the HTML templates. Let me reload the page. It works. Let's take a look at the templates. Templates register.html. When this form is submitted, we want to use a post request. Now we need to specify the destination where the form will be submitted, urls.py. So we can easily reference a URL by using the name. The name is register. URL, and the name of the URL is register. Let me reload the page. So we need an email and a password. Let's say abc@gmail.com. The password is 12345. Register. Verification code sent to abc@gmail.com. This is the verification code sent to the user. Now we need a way to verify the code submitted by the user. Let's create a view called verify account. Def verify account request, and the type of request is HTTP request. If request dot method is post equals post, we need the verification code and the email. Code, which is a string data type, equals request dot post code, and also the email is a string, equals request dot post email. Now we are going to check if a pending user exists. Pending user, pending underscore user equals pending user dot objects dot filter. So we need the verification code and the email. Verification code equals code, and the email equals the email. The type of pending user is pending user. If pending user exists and pending user dot is valid, remember that we have a method called isValid. This method is used to check if a verification code is valid or not. Else messages dot error, we need to pass the request and the message will be invalid or expired verification code. Return render request, and the template will be the initial template used at the point of verification. Verify account dot HTML. Verify account dot HTML. We can also pass the status code. Let's say the status code is 400. The default status code is 200. We should use dot first because we want to get the first match. So if the verification code is valid, we are going to create a user object. User equals user dot objects dot create. Email is pending user dot email, and the password equals pending user dot password. Immediately a user is created, we need to delete the pending user object since we don't need it anymore. Pending user dot delete. Now we would like to authenticate the user. So first of all, we need to import auth from Django.contrib import auth. Import auth. So auth and messages are coming from the same module, so we can import it on this line. Let us remove this line. So auth.login. So we are going to pass the request and also the user objects. The user object we just created. User messages.sources request, and the message will be account verified. You are now logged in. Return redirect to the home page. Home. At the moment, we don't have the home view. Let us create the home view. Def home request, and the type of request is HTTP request. Return render request, and the name of the template is home.html. Next is to create the URLs for home and verify accounts. urls.py verify accounts. The views is views.verify accounts, and the name of the URL is verify_accounts. Since the home URL will be a base URL, we can put it in the project URL. So we can say from accounts.views imports home. So for the root URL, the view will be home view, and the name of the URL is home. This means the root URL will be handled by the home view. If you notice, there is only an input for the verification code, but in the views, we also need the email. As you can see, we are accepting the code and the email address. The email input on this page is hidden. Let's take a look at the template, verifyaccount.html. As you can see, we have two inputs. The email is hidden, but the code is not hidden. So we need to pass the email into these templates. Let's take a look at views, register.html. This template is rendered by the register view. Register. So we need to pass the email as a context. So context equals email, and the email is cleaned email. We also need to pass it in verify accounts if the code is invalid. Email is the email. We should also update the destination of the form, a post request, and the destination will be URL, the name of the URL, verify_accounts, verify account. Let's check if the server is running. Now let's try to create a new account. The email is abc@gmail.com. Password 12345. Register. Verification code sent to abc@gmail.com. Now let's copy the verification code. Copy. First of all, I'm going to use a wrong code. Let's try it out. Invalid or expired verification code. Now let me try with the correct code. Template does not exist at home. So this means the home template could not be found. So we need the home templates. Let me look for the home templates. The home template could not be found. Let's check out the templates, accounts, general templates, job portals. So we have the home templates. Copy and let us put it in the templates. So now we have the home templates. Let me reload the page. Account verified. You are now logged in. Now let's work on the login view. Def login request, HTTP request. If request dot method equals post, else return render request login.html. If it is a post request, we need to accept an email and a password from the user. Email, which is a string data type, equals request.post.gets email, which is also a string data type, equals request.post.gets password. Next, we want to authenticate the user. Auth.authenticate. So we need to pass the request and the credentials. Request and the credential email equals the email and the password equals the password. We use the authenticate function to authenticate a user. If the given credentials are valid, it returns a user object. Otherwise, it returns none. So we are going to say user equals this. If user is not none, else messages dot error request, and the message is invalid credentials. Return redirect. We want to redirect the user back to the login page. If user is not known, we want to log in the user. Auth.login request and the user. So to log in a user, you need to pass the request and the user object. messages.sources request, and the message is you are now logged in. Let me use this opportunity to work on the logout view. Def logout request, HTTP request, auth.logout. For the logout, we only need to pass the request messages.sources request, and the message is you are now logged out. Return redirect. Let us redirect the user to the home page, home view. Now let's write the URL for login and logout. urls.py. So path login, and the name of the view is views.login. Name equals login. Logout views.logout, and the URL name is logout. Let us check if the server is running. Logout. So we need to update the template header.html, which is a general template. Header.html. So we have the logout, login, and register. Logouts. URL is the name of the URL, logout. We also want to update the login, and we have the register. Let me confirm the URL name for register. Accounts urls.py. So the name is register. Let me reload the page. Log out. You are now logged out. Now let's click on login. Let me first use a random email. abc@gmail.com, and the password 12345. Invalid credentials. Now let us use the correct credential. abc@gmail.com, and the password is 123456. It doesn't work. abc@gmail.com, password is 123456. abc@gmail.com 12345. Value error at auth/login. Didn't return an HTTP response object. It returned none instead. Let us check the login view. Login. As you can see, nothing is returned if the credentials are correct. So we need to return an HTTP response. Return redirect to home, to the home view, which is this view. Now let us reload the page. Alright, it works. You are now logged in. So we are getting two messages because the previous message was saved in the session. Let us log out again. You are logged out. The email is abc@gmail.com and the password is 12345. You are now logged in. Before now, we've been testing the application manually. Let us install PyTest to write automated test cases. Pip install PyTest. PyTest Django. We need to create a directory to organize the test cases. Tests. Let me delete this initial test file. Tests. Within the test directory, let's create a new file called test views. Test_views.py. Now we need a couple of functions: def test, register user, def test, register user, duplicates email, def test, verify account, valid code. Def test, verify account, invalid code. Def test, login, valid credentials. Def test, login, invalid credentials. I have a complete 1-hour video on PyTest. Be sure to check it out. To make an HTTP request from the client to the server, we need the test client from Django. So we need to create a PyTest fixture for the client. A PyTest fixture is a reusable function. In PyTest, you place fixtures in a file named conftest. Conftest.py. Let's create a new file called conftest.py. Conftest.py from Django.tests.clients imports clients. Def client return the clients an instance of the client. We also need to import PyTest. Import PyTest. To make a function a fixture, we need a decorator. So we need to say at PyTest.fixture. So this function is now a fixture. Next is to use the fixture in our test cases. Tests, test views, clients. When a PyTest fixture is used in a test function, the fixture is automatically called and the return value of the fixture is assigned to clients. URL equals reverse of register. We need to import reverse from Django.urls import reverse. The URL name for registration is register. To register, we need an email address and a password. So we can say request data equals email abc@gmail.com and the password is 1234567 The type of client is client from Django.test.client imports clients. So we can say response equals clients.post, a post request. We need to pass the URL string URL and also the data request data. Assert response dot status code. Let me check the expected status code. So the status code is expected to be 200. The default status code is 200. Test view equals 200. When a user registers, we need to check if a pending user is created. Pending user equals pending user dot objects dot filter from accounts dot models import pending user dot filter email equals request data email dot first assert pending user. Now let us check if this password equals the saved password. We need to import check password from Django from Django.contrib.auth.hashes import check password. Assert check password. We need to pass the raw password and the encoded. Raw password is request data password and the encoded will be pending user dot password. Before running the test, let's create the configuration file for PyTest. The configuration file will be at the root directory pytest.ini. PyTest Django settings module equals talent base dot settings. This is the settings file for the project. Python files equals test dot py test dot py, and also these are just the patterns for the testing files. Adopts equals -v -ra. Now let us run the test. pytest -k test register user. One failed. Runtime error. Database access not allowed. By default, pytest does not allow test cases to interact with the database. So you need to use any of the following fixtures if you want your test case to access the database. Let us use the DB fixture. DB, go to definition, require a Django test database. You can read more about the fixture. As you can see, we have some other fixtures in this file: transactional database, clients, async clients, and so on. Before running the test again, let me first comment out this test case. Now let's run the test again. One failed. Template does not exist. Emails/email verification template.html. It looks like I accidentally renamed the general templates. This is meant to be templates. And we have the headers. Now let's try it out again. One passed, 4 deselected. Remember that when a pending user is created, a success message is displayed to the user. So this success message is displayed. Let us use pytest to check if the message is displayed. We first need to import get messages from Django.contrib.messages import get messages. This function returns the message storage on the request if it exists. Messages equals get messages. We need to pass the request to the function response.wsgi request. Now let us convert it into a list. Assert length of the messages to be 1. Assert messages, the first message dot level tag to be success. Remember that get messages returns a list of messages. Index of 0 is the first message in the list. Now let us assert the message string. Assert the string is verification code sent to. Assert verification code sent to in string of messages. The actual type of each message in the list is a message class from Django.contrib.messages.storage.base imports message. So we can access different attributes on each message. Level tag, tags, string representation of the message, and so on. Let me remove this. Now let's run the test. One passed. What happens if a duplicate email is used for registration? We need to first create a user with a specific email. Then we will use that email for registration. Let's create a PyTest fixture called user instance. Def user instance return user.objects.create from accounts.models import user. Email equals a random email, random abc@gmail.com. Password equals a random password, abcd. Let me import make password from django.contrib.auth.hashes. Import make password. So we need to pass a raw password to make password. Make password at pytest.fixture. We need to use DB because this fixture will access the database, client, and the type of client is client. User instance, which is the new fixture. URL equals reverse of register. And request data, request underscore data equals email. The email is a registered email. And the password equals ABC. Response equals client.post. We need to pass the URL and the data, request data. If the email is registered, we redirect the user to register, and also we display an error message. Assert response dot status code equals 302, which is for redirection. Assert response dot URL, which is the redirect URL, reverse of register. Let us check if a message is displayed to the user. An error message and the message, let's take a look. Email exists on the platform. Now let's run the test. pytest-k one passed. We are not using the DB fixture because DB is already used in user instance. Let me remove DB from user instance. Now let's run the test again. Runtime error. Database access not allowed. DB. Another way to enable database access in a file is to use a marker, Django_DB. Let us make use of the marker. PyTest mark equals PyTest. We need to import PyTest. Import PyTest. PyTest dot mark .DjangoDB. It means that all test cases in this file will be able to access the database. Now let me remove DB, which is a fixture. PyTest -k test register user. Two paths, test register user and test register user underscore duplicate email. So we've removed the DB fixture used in the previous test. Next is to work on account verification. Clients, and the type of client is the client class. Clients. For us to verify an account, we need an instance of pending user. Pending user, pending underscore user equals pending user. Pending user dot objects dot create. Email equals abc@gmail.com, and the verification code, verification underscore code equals 5555, and the password a random password, random pass. URL equals reverse. Let me look for the URL name. Verify account, verify underscore accounts. To verify an account, we need a verification code and the email address. Request data equals email pending user dot email, and the code pending user dot code dot verification code. Response equals clients dot post URL and request data. If everything is fine, we redirect the user to home, and also we show a success message, account verified, you are now logged in. Assert response dot status code equals 302, which is for redirection. Assert response dot URL equals reverse of home. Now we are going to check if the request is authenticated. Remember that we authenticate the user before redirection. We need to first import get user from Django.contrib.auth. Imports get user. When you pass request to get user, It returns a user instance or anonymous user. User equals get user. We need to pass the request response dot wsgi request asserts user dot is authenticated. Let me run the test. Test verify account valid code. PyTest -k. One passed. Now we are going to use an invalid verification code. Let me copy this. Test verify account invalid code. We need the clients request data equals email, which is pending user dot email, and also the code will be an invalid code. Response equals clients dot post URL and request data. Let me check the view function. So if the verification code is invalid, we return a 400 error, and also we show an error message. Asserts response dot status code equals 400. Asserts user dot objects dot count equals 0. Let me import user. It means that no user is created after the request. We can also check for the error message. Now let's also run the test. PyTest -k and the name of the test. One passed. It works. Now we will work on test login valid credentials. Clients. The type of client is clients. For a user to log in, the account must have been created. So we need a user instance. User instance. Let me create a fixture which returns the password. Def auth user password it returns a string data type str. Returns the password needed for authentication. It returns this password, which is the password associated with the user instance. So we need to make it a fixture by using a decorator PyTest.fixture. Now let us use the fixture in the test function. Auth user password URL equals reverse of login. The URL name is login. Request data equals email user instance dot email, and the password is auth user password. Response equals clients dot post a post request URL, and the data is request data. The user is authenticated and then the user is redirected. Asserts response dot status code equals 302 for redirection. Asserts response dot URL is reverse of home. Let us check if a success message is displayed. Success. Now let us run the test case pytest-k test log invalid credentials. PyTest 1 passed. Next, let us test for invalid credentials. Let me copy some of what I have here. We don't need the correct password. The email and the password can be a random password. Random invalid. Pass. If the password is invalid, the user is redirected back to the login page and also will display an error message. Invalid credentials. Assert response dot status code 302. Assert response dot URL equals reverse of login. The user is redirected back to the login page. Now let us check the error message. Error. And the error message asserts invalid credentials. In messages, let me convert this to a string data type str. Now let's run the program. Test login invalid credentials. pytest-k invalid login credentials. 1 passed. Now let's run all the test cases. PyTest. Alright friends, Now we need to work on how users can recover their accounts. On the user interface, we need an input box to accept an email from a user. If the email is registered, we will create a password reset token for the user, and the token is sent to the user email. If the user is able to provide the token, the user is allowed to reset the password. Let's create a model to store the password reset token. Models.py class token models.model id equals models.uuid. Primary key is true. Default will be UUID. We need to import UUID. Import UUID. UUID4 editable to be false. User equals models.foreign key. A reset token belongs to a user. Foreign key user. On delete is models.cascade. And the token itself, token equals models.carfeed. Max length is 255. We can also have a token type. Token type equals models.carfeed. Max length is 100. And choices. Let me create the choices for the token type. Class token type models.text choices. Password reset equals password reset. The choices will be token type dot choices. We need to know when a token is created at equals models dot date time feed. Auto now add is true. Let me create the string method str self. It should return the user and the token. F strings self dot user self dot token. Next, we need to create a method which checks if a token is valid or not. Let me copy this is valid method. It's valid. So we want a token to be valid for 20 minutes. Now let us make migration. Python manage.py migrate. Now we need to work on the URLs and the views. Let me first create the URL. Forgot password. The view will be sent password reset link. The name will be sent reset password via email. Now let's create the view. Views, def send password reset link, request, and the type of request is HTTP request. If request dot method is post, else return render request, and the template will be forgot password .html. So if it is not a post request, we want to render HTML templates. Let me update the URL in the templates. Templates, login.html, forgot password, and register. Register URL is register, and also the URL is reset password via email. Reset password via email. Register.html. The login URL is login. URL login, and forgot password. Let me copy it. Forgot password. The server is running. Login, reset password, forgot password. So a get request to forgot password returns this page. Forgot password. The status code is 200. So if it is a post request, we need to accept the email from the user. Enter your email address. Email, which is a string data type, str, equals request dot posts dot get the email. Now we will check if this email is registered. We need the user model. User equals get user model. Let me import get user model from Django.contrib.auth. Import get user model. This function returns the user model used in this project. Get user model dot objects dot filter email equals email dot lower. The get method will return a none value if email is not submitted, and calling dot lower on a none value will raise an error. So we should provide a default string value. Dot first. If user, else messages dot error request, and the message will be email not found. Return redirect. We would like to redirect to this view, and the URL name is reset password via email. Let us copy the URL name, views.py. So we want to redirect to the same page. If the email is registered, we are going to create a password reset token. Let me import the token model from .models, import token, and token type as well, token dot objects, create, update or create. User is user, and token type equals token type dot password reset. Now we need to pass defaults, which is a dictionary, token. This will be a random string. Let me import random string generator. Random string generator, we have it imported. The length should be 20, and also we need created arts. Created arts. Date time dot now. Date time dot now. UTC time zone dot UTC. We are using update or create because we don't want multiple instances of token for the same user and token type. Update or create returns the created instance and a boolean. So we can say created and token equals. Next is to send the token to the user. Send email. So we need to pass the subjects, the recipients, HTML template, and context. So let's say email data, a dictionary. The email is email dot lower, and the token is token dot token. Token dot token. Let me take a look. The token comes first before the boolean, so we need to have the token first, followed by created. Token dot token. The subject will be your password reset link. The recipient of the email is email. Also, we need the templates and also the context. The context is the email data. Email data. Let me look for the templates. Emails, password reset templates. Emails / password reset.html. Let us take a look at the templates. So when a user clicks on this link, we need to verify if the link can be used to reset the password. Now let's create a new URL and a view. Path, verify password, link. The view will be views.verify password resets link, and name is verify password reset link. Next, we need to work on the view verify password reset link. Before doing that, let me replace created with an underscore, since we are not making use of it. Def verify password resets link request HTTP requests. We need to accept the reset token and the email. Email equals request dot get, which is a get request dot get email, and also the reset token equals requests dot get a get request dot get token. We are using a get request because a get request is used when you visit a URL. Now let us check if we can find the token and the email in the database. Token equals token dot objects dot filter email equals the email and the token equals reset token, and also the token type equals token type dot reset password resets. We don't have the email feed on the token, but we can make use of the user and the belonging email dot first. If not token or not token dot is valid, messages dot error, we need to pass the request to message, and the message will be invalid or expired reset link. Return redirects. We want to redirect to the reset page, password reset page. Reset password via email, which is the name of the URL. It means that if no token is found or the token is not valid, this part of the code should be executed. Else, we would like to render a page where the user can set a new password. Return render request and the template sets new password using reset token .html. Now let us update the content of the email. Password reset templates. We need to update the URL. The URL is verify password reset link. Templates /auth/ verify password reset link, and we need the email. The email will be the email, and also we need the token equals the token. The email and the token. Let's take a look at the views. So we are passing the email and the token into the templates. Now let us try to reset the password. The server is running. Forgot password. Let us use abc@gmail.com. Value error. Send password reset link didn't return an HTTP response. Send password reset link. Send password reset link. If the email is registered, we send a message to the user. We are meant to return an HTTP response, messages.sources, and we need to pass the request, and the message is reset link sent to your email. Return redirect. So we want to redirect the user to the same page, which is this page. Reset password via email. Reset password via email. Now let us try it again. abc@gmail.com. Reset link sent to your email. Let us check the terminal. Hi there. Use this link to reset your password. This is the link. Auth, verify password reset link, email, and the token. Let me copy the link. Copy link. Now let us try to access the link. It works. It means that the email and the reset token are correct. That is why this page is rendered. Now let us try with an invalid token. Let me use a random string. Invalid or expired reset link. Let me recopy the link. Copy link. Reset password. Now let us take a look at these templates. Set new password using reset token.html. Set new password using reset token. This is the template. So we have two input fields, password 1 and password 2. We also have some hidden fields. As you can see, we also have the email feed and the token feed, but both of them are hidden, which means the user will not see the two forms. So the email and the token feed are hidden. We should pass the email and the token into these templates. Context, and also the token. Token is token dot token, or we can just make use of reset token, which is captured on this line. Let me format this function. Format selection. It looks better. Next, we will work on how a new password can be set. So which means we need a post request that will accept password 1 and password 2. We would also need the email and the token from the URL. Path sets new password and the views will be views dot set new password using reset link, and the name equals set new password. Next is to create the views def set new password using reset link request, and the type of request is HTTP request. Let me put a docstring set a new password given the token sent to the user email. So if requests dot method is post request, we need to accept the two passwords. Password one, which is a string str, requests dot post dot get the password one. We also need password 2. I'm going to copy the first password 2 and password 2. We can accept the email and the reset token from the hidden forms. Email, which is also a string data type str, equals requests dot post dot get email, and also the reset token equals requests dot post dot get token. We should first check if the two passwords are the same. If password 1 is not equal to password 2, messages dot error request, and the message is passwords do not match. Render, we want to re-render the page. Render, and we need to pass the request, and the name of the template is the previous templates. This same template, and we can also pass the context to be the email and the token. Email is email, and the token as well. Token is reset token. Format selection. Now, at the point of setting a new password, we still want to check if the reset token is valid or not. So we can say token, and the type of token is token, equals token dot objects dot filter token equals reset token. The token type equals token type dot reset password reset, and also user equals the email dot first. We need to say if not token or not token dot is valid. So if the token cannot be found or the token is not valid, messages dot error requests, and the message is expired or invalid reset link. Return redirect. We would like to redirect the user back to forgot password, which is reset password via email. Views.py reset password via email. Otherwise, we would like to reset the password. Let us create a method to reset the user password. So let's define a new method. Def reset user password. Save an instance method. So we need the raw password, and the type of the raw password is a string, str. Self.user, which is a user model. Every token created belongs to a user. The type of self.user is user, the user model. So we can say self.user.setPassword. Set password. You can use this method to set a new password, but it doesn't save the password. So we need to call the save method. So we should pass the raw password. Then we can say self.user.save. We must call .save for the new password to be saved. There is a mistake. We need to put a double colon. Now let's go back to views. Token.reset user password. Reset user password, we need to pass the password 1, and immediately the password is set and saved, we should delete the token.delete. Then we can show a success message.success request, and the message is password changed. Let us redirect the user to the login page. Return redirect login. Let us try it out. The server is running. Invalid or expired link. Let us reset the password again, abc@gmail.com. Send password reset link. Reset link sent to your email. So this is the email. Let me copy it. Copy link. First of all, I will use an incorrect token. Now let me use the correct link. What is happening? Copy the link. Let's try it out. So let us set a new password, 12345. So 12345. Something is happening. We sent a post request to verify password reset link, and the request is successful, 200. It looks like we are not making use of the new URL, which is this URL, set new password. Let us check the template, set new password. We are not using the correct destination for the form. So we need to specify the name of the URL. The URL is URL, and the name is set new password. The URL name is set_new_password. Set new password. Let us reload the page. The server is running. Now let us make use of this URL. A new password 12345. 12345. Password changed, and we are redirected back to the login page. The email is abc@gmail.com and the password is 12345, which is the new password. Let's try it out. You are now logged in. As you can see, we made a post request to set new password, and the status code is 302, which is for a redirection. After that, we are redirected to the login page. Now, let us work on the test cases. Test views. The test initiates password reset using registered email. So we want to use PyTest to test if a registered email can be used for a password reset. We need clients and a user instance. User instance URL equals reverse. Let us look for the name of the URL. Reset password via email. Request data, request underscore data equals, we need to submit an email address. User instance dot email, which is a registered email. Request data. Response equals clients dot post, a post request, and the URL, and also the data, which is request data, URLs, and the view. If an email is registered, a reset token is created and the user is redirected. Asserts response dot status code is 302 for redirection. We also need to assert if a reset token is created. Assert token dot objects dot filter. Let me import the token from accounts dot models. Import token. The token has been imported. User double underscore email is the submitted email, request data email, and the token type equals token type. Let me import the token type as well. Token type dot password resets. We should use the get method because we expect only a single password reset token to be present for a user. We also display a success message. Reset link sent to your email address. Let us use PyTest to test that. So I'm going to copy what we have here, which is messages. The message is a success message. Success. And also we can confirm the actual message. Asserts messages, the first message, and let us convert it to a string data type str equals. Let me copy the message. Reset link sent to your email. Test views. Now let us run the test case. Test initiate password resets using registered email. PyTest -k and the name of the test case. One passed. Next, we will use an email which is not registered. Let me copy up to this point. Test initiate password reset using unregistered email. We don't need a user instance, so this email address will be a random email which is not registered at gmail.com. Let us take a look at the view. If the email is not registered, we display an error message and the user is redirected. Let us use PyTest for that. We should assert that no token was created. Assert not, then we need to make use of filter. If we make use of the get method and no instance is present, an error will be raised. So we need to make use of filter. First. Now let us check for an error message. Error message, error. And the content of the error message, email not found. Test views, email not found. Now let's run the test case. PyTest -k and the name of the test case, one passed. Now we are going to test if a user can set a new password by using a reset token. Def test sets new password using valid reset token. Client and user instance URL equals reverse. Let me look for the name of the URL. Set new password, which is the name of the URL. Set new password. We need to first create a reset token. Reset token equals token dot objects dot create user equals user instance. A token belongs to a user instance. We also need the token test views, token type equals token type dot password resets, and the actual token itself, token equals ABCD created at equals date time dot now. Let us import date time. From date time, import date time. UTC. We also need to import time zone. Time zone dot UTC. Let us take a look at the view. In the view, we need password 1, email, and the reset token. Request data equals password 1 equals 1 2 3 4 5, and password 2 is 1 2 3 4 5. We need the email associated with the token. The email is the email of the user instance. User instance dot email, And also we need the token, the actual reset token, which is sent to the user email. So reset token dot token, which is the token existing in the database. Response equals client dot post, a post request. The URL is URL and the data is request data. If the token is valid, the password is reset, the token is deleted, and also the user is redirected. Asserts response dot status code is 302, which is for a redirection, and also the user is redirected to login. Asserts response dot URL, which is where the user is redirected to, is reverse of login. Login. The user is redirected to the login page. Next, we need to check that the token is deleted after the password is reset. Asserts token dot objects dot count to be 0 because the token is expected to be deleted. Next is to check if this password is the new password for the user. Remember that the initial password for a user instance is ABCD. Now we want to check if this password is the new password of the user. We need to refresh the user instance from the DB. User instance dot refresh from DB. This method reload feed values from the database. Asserts user instance dot check password. Check password. We need to pass the raw password into it. Raw password, which is request data of password. Password 1. Check password returns a boolean of whether the raw password was correct. Now let us check if there is a success message. Success. And the message is password reset. Let me check for the message. Password changed. Password changed. Now let us run the test case. Test set new password using valid reset token. PyTest -k. One passed. Now we are going to use an invalid token. Let me copy what we have here. Test set new password using invalid reset token. So the token will be a fake token. Fake invalid token views.py. If the token is incorrect, we display an error message and also the user is redirected. Test views and the user is redirected. Let me check the redirection URL. The redirection URL is this. Test views asserts response dot URL is reverse of this. If the provided token is not valid, the token in the DB will not be deleted. Asserts token dot objects dot count equals 1. Let us also check for the message. The message is an error message. Let me check. Views expired or invalid reset link. Test views. Now let's also run the test case using invalid reset token. One passed. Now let's also run all the test cases by test. By test. Time passed. If you notice, I am currently signed in, but I can still access the login page /auth/login. In fact, I can still access the register page. So we would like to prevent a logged in user from accessing the login and register pages. Views.py. So we are going to create a decorator. A decorator is a Python function that takes a function as an argument. Let me create a file called decorators. Decorators.py, new file, decorators.py, def redirect authenticated user A decorator takes a function as an argument. So we want to decorate the view function, def wrapper Most times, the function you wish to decorate takes arguments. In our case, we want to decorate the view function, login, and register. The first argument to a view function is always the request. Optionally, it can also accept positioner and keyword arguments. So we can say request, which is the first argument, and the type of request is HTTP request. Let me import that from Django.http import HTTP requests, and then the positioner argument and keyword arguments, *args and *works, which is for keyword arguments. If requests .user .is authenticated, then we want to redirect the user to the home page. Redirect to the home page, to the home view. We need to import redirect from Django.shortcuts. Import redirect. Else, if that is not the case, we want to return the view function, and we need to pass the argument request, which is the initial arguments request, *args and keyword arguments. And finally, we need to return the wrapper. I have a video explaining decorators. Make sure to check it out. Now let us use the decorator. From .decorators import redirect authenticated user. To use a decorator on a function, you need the @ symbol, the name of the decorator. This means when an authenticated user tries to access the login page, the user is redirected to the home page. Let me check the server. The server is running. Now we want to access the register page, auth/register. As you can see, we are redirected to the home page. The same goes for the login page. We are redirected back to the page. If a page needs authentication, Django redirects unauthenticated users to accounts/login. However, the login URL is auth/login. So we need to tell Django that the login URL is, I want to put slash here as well. So we need to update the settings file, talent base, settings.py. We are going to set the login URL. Login URL equals /auth/login. Alright friends, we are going to focus on how to send actual emails to users by using Django. Previously, we used the console email backend, which displays sent emails on the screen. Now, we will use SMTP email backend. SMTP.email backend. To send out real emails, an SMTP backend is required. So you first need to select an email service provider, such as SendGrid and Brevo. In my case, I will be using Brevo. Then you need to look for SMTP settings, SMTP and API. We need the SMTP server, also known as the host, login and password. Email host equals smtp-relay.brevo.com, and we also need email host user. Email host user equals this user. We also need email host password equals the password. You can generate a password by clicking on this button. I'm going to copy the password, and we also have the ports. The port, email port is 587. Email use TLS is true. Let us take a look at the send email function. Send email. From email must be a verified domain. In my case, I will use my domain name, email from equals no reply at ridwanray.com. Email from to be this. Let us restart the server. Python manage.py run server. The server is running. Now let us create a new account. Logout, register. I would like to use a sample account ray at mailinator.com, and the password will be 12345. Register. verification code sent to ray@mailinator.com. Now let us take a look at the email mailinator.com. Mailinator is a public email for testing purpose. ray@mailinator.com. As you can see, this is the verification email. We have to use this code to verify the account. Verification code, verify invalid or expired verification code. Okay, it looks like we make a mistake. Verify, account verified, you are now logged in. Alright friends, we are going to set up Celery to handle email sending. Celery is an asynchronous task queue. Celery can be used to offload a long-running process or external service to ensure that the main application remains responsive and performant. We can delegate email sending to Celery without keeping the user waiting. So we need to install Celery and a couple of packages. Pip install Celery, Django Redis, and Flower. The packages are installed. Now we need to update the settings. Settings.py Celery config Celery accepts content application JSON. We also have Celery result serializer equals JSON, and also Celery task serializer equals JSON. Also we need the broker URL. Celery broker URL is Redis on localhost and the port is 6379. We can also mention the result backend, Celery result backend is the location of the Redis instance. The message broker is responsible for sending tasks from Django to Celery. In this case, the broker is Redis. Let me check if Redis is running on these ports. I want to open a new terminal. Redis server. So Redis is already running on the port 6379. Redis CLI ping pong. This means we can connect to Redis on this port. Next, we need to create a configuration file for Celery. We are going to create a file called celery.py inside the project. Let me copy the contents of the file. The project is talent base. New file celery.py. The project name is talent base, talent underscore base, and talents underscore base. We also need an init file. The init file is already present. We need to update the init file. These are some of the configuration we can use. Celery time zone. To turn a function into a Celery task, we can use shared task. So let us make use of the shared task. Tasks.py. We need to import shared task from Celery, and we need to turn send email to a Celery function or a Celery task at shared task. One way to trigger a Celery task is to use .delay. To call a Celery task, we can use .delay. Let us make use of that. Send email. It is used in accounts views. Send email .delay. Send email .delay. Next is to start the worker process. Let me copy the command. Open a new terminal. I want to activate the virtual environment. Source. Activate. We need to run the command in a virtual environment. The project name is talent base. Talent_base. So Celery is able to discover that send email is a Celery task. It also says connected to Redis, which is the Redis instance on port 6379. I will open a new terminal for Flower. Source. Virtual env. Activate. Flower is used for monitoring Celery tasks. So we need to say Celery -a, and the name of the project is talent base Flower, and the port is 5555. Option port requires a value equal 555. Visit me at this URL connected to Redis, which is the broker. Now let us access this URL. Copy link. So we can monitor Celery tasks by using this dashboard. Tasks, workers, broker. Let me sign up for a new account. Logout, register an account, and the email can be ridwanray@mailinator.com. Password is 12345. Register. Verification code sent to ridwanray@mailinator.com. Next is to check the Mailinator. Verify your account. Sending out email is now handled by Celery. Let us check the terminal. So a new task has been received by Celery, and the task execution is successful. As you can see, It takes almost 8 seconds to send the email. If Celery is not used, the user would have to wait an additional 8 seconds during sign up. Let us check the dashboard. Tasks. So the task is successful, and we can also see the arguments for the task. Next is to remove sensitive information from the code base. Sensitive information such as email host, user, and password should be kept secret. So we need to create a .env file. .env, new file, .env, settings.py, email host is email host, and also host user, the value is this. We also need the host password. We should also remove the secret key. Next is to install Python decouple. Pip install Python decouple. You can use Python decouple to read the .env file. So let us make use of decouple. From decouple, import config of secret key, and the variable name is secret key, email host, config of email host, and also config of the email host user, config email host user, config of password, config host password. Let us check if the server is running. Run server. The server is running. I would like to reset my password. Login. Forgot password. The email is ray@mailinator.com. Let me open Mailinator. Ray. Your password reset link. Let us click on the link. The new password is 222. Reset password. Password changed. Now let me log in. ray@mailinator.com 222. You are now logged in. So that is how we can use decouple. Now let us create a .gitignore file. .gitignore. We need to add .env and any other files that we don't want it to be committed. Let me add the virtual environment directory venv. I hope you find value in this lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.